right, New Orleans, welcome to the Jack Clegg Show. This is a Tuesday night edition, and you're listening to WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. And perhaps you're watching us on YouTube or X or Facebook. Welcome to the show, and I'll repeat our call-in line is 504-556-9696. That's 504-556-9696. We accept calls, not collect calls, but we accept calls from all over the country. Anyhow, tonight's show, the theme is expediency versus doing the right thing. And we're going to drill down on a story concerning education in the state of Oregon. Why are the Democratic and progressive members of the Oregon Department of Education, they set education policy for the state of Oregon, why are they trying to dumb us down? And we're gonna hit that issue today pretty hard, and in efforts to be fair and so that everyone understands what they're doing. We're not just going to name call. We're going to go and look at what education has done historically. We've talked about education for months now, and usually we take a snapshot today, we talk about it, but I think it would be helpful because I was doing research here, and in my research about education in the United States, is really very interesting and eye-opening to me because I didn't know the history of education. And when I say the history of it, I mean when the government got its hands on it and what was done early on in our educational system to determine who should be educated, where people should be educated, what type of schools would be around to be educated, and that's how I'm going to start the show up tonight. A little history lesson because I found it fascinating. When we talk about public education, and there was an issue that came up in America in the 20s. We didn't have forced education, compulsory education. But we began to have forced education in the 20s. And compulsory education didn't mean you needed to be educated till a certain age. It meant that citizens need to be educated in public schools as opposed to Catholic schools. I didn't realize that. There was a huge battle in the 20s. And many, I think, irresponsible comments, but I wasn't alive in the 20s, so I didn't share this. But there was significant anti-Catholic bias throughout the country. And as I read about this, the fears were that somehow the Pope would make a decision somewhere, and it would filter all the way from the Vatican through the public schools throughout America, or the Catholic schools throughout America, and brainwash all the students that were in the Catholic schools. So there were many people, and I was surprised to see who was involved. And these were public leaders, the president of Harvard University, very anti-parochial schools. And they made, in the 20s, it was a real battle. And they made for some strange bedfellows back then. One of the groups that joined the people that wanted to eliminate Catholic schools was the Ku Klux Klan. And they were taken seriously. And they were, they not only did they have issues with African Americans, but the Catholics as well. And they, state after state, were trying to get representatives in states to abandon Catholic schools. Okay, now why am I talking about that? Well, today, whether you agree with it or not, the statistics show that public education in most of our cities is a disaster. I'm a public education graduate in Chicago, and I know a lot of public education graduates here in New Orleans. And the numbers, I can't swear the numbers, but the education is, I think, basically what you and your family have devoted to it, and your parents, brothers and sisters help you along. However, um, today, what do we see? Today, the irony is not lost. Today, we see people who live in cities who don't want to send their kids to public schools. Why? Because the basic skills aren't being taught there. And so, what do they want to do? They want vouchers to send their children to private schools and to Catholic schools. They want their tax dollars, instead of being thrown at a public school, which they considered to be a disaster and a waste of money for them, they want to get a voucher for the amount that they pay in taxes to pay the tuition at a Catholic school or a private school. So from the 20s to today, 100 years, we we've given the public schools a great opportunity over 100 years, since the 20s until today, and the numbers aren't good. However, there are still those fighting in favor of public schools, and they're trying to um, exercise their will over the students. And what seems to me, and what we're going to talk about tonight in the show, is they've abandoned the number one obligation they have, and that is to prepare and challenge students for intellectual rigor, intellectual expertise. They're not doing that. Instead, expediency is winning out today. They're looking for numbers of graduates, and they're beating their chest that we have good numbers of graduates. Oh, the graduates are going up. Yes, but the basic skills are going down. And that's what we're going to talk about, this Oregon event that occurred. And we're going to bring it back to probably one of the biggest problems that we haven't even touched. Okay, and before the break, I'll tell you about this problem we haven't touched, and we're not going to spend much time on that tonight, but it is a huge problem for education, and I'm guilty of it too. We've been talking about education for weeks and weeks here, but what we haven't talked about is, how are we going to educate throughout the country the millions, and I don't mean thousands, millions of students whose second language and maybe third language is English? How are we going to educate them here? And of course, we're worried about immigration from a standpoint of terrorism. Okay, what's happened in the Middle East has raised that issue. There's all kinds of issues, but tonight we're going to talk about that aspect of education. How do you educate them when they're not here? Do we build special schools? It's almost like that no one wants to talk about it, but we have that problem. And do we owe them an education? I think yes. Anybody here should be educated. But anyway, after the break, we're going to talk some more. We're going to drill down on this Oregon law. And we're going to talk more and more about the issue of what is the obligation of those in charge of education? Is it to push people through till they graduate expediently, or to give them a good education and make sure they get it? Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in a few minutes. This is the Jack Clegg Show, WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey, this is BJ Russ. Make sure you join me every Saturday night for the Something to Say radio show right here on WGSO 990 AM. We'll be on from 7 to 8 p.m. We'll talk sports, music, movies, and pretty much anything in between. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM. That's the place to be. And don't forget that you can listen to us on WGSO.com and on the Mixler app.
Big Easy Pet Shop and Rescue is a nonprofit volunteer-run rescue. We provide adoption services and care for homeless animals across the New Orleans metro area. We also offer pet supplies and grooming services at our downtown and Marigny locations. The shops are located at 839 Spain Street and 513 Dumaine Street and are open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays and noon to 6 on Saturdays, noon to 5 on Sundays. We can be found on the web at BigEasyPetShop.com. Support local animals in need by shopping and adopting with Big Easy Animal Rescue.
The Tux Charitable Foundation, in association with the crew of Tux Parade, is holding the 4th Tux Umbrella Walk and Gumbo Gras on October 28th at 9 a.m. in Audubon Park, shelter number 10 off Magazine Street. Food, drink, live music are all included with registration. This is where Mardi Gras meets Halloween, and everyone is encouraged to come in costume. Kids' activities include the Small Friars Umbrella Decorating Tent, Decorated Wagon Parade, and Small Friars Funhouse. Please go to www.tuxfoundation.org for information and registration.
Hi, I'm Huck.
And this is Dave.
Please join us on Liberty or Lockdown on Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Be there.
Join me, Mitch Gibbs, every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m. live on WGSO Radio New Orleans, talking Saints football. That 12th season in the Red Zone will be live at Premier Nissan at 6636 Veterans Boulevard, where Metairie meets Kenner for another exciting season of Saints football live on WGSO Radio.
Got your license to grill? Call Chew on This, Saturdays at noon on WGSO, and tell us all about it. Don Clement and Patty B are waiting to hear your cooking secrets.
Round these parts,
pass will go out there and it's intercepted.
The game of football
Hammered back at the 29-yard line.
Is all
Caught at the 15-yard line. 10, 5.
The rage.
Touchdown, Louisiana.
It means everything. It really does.
This is your radio home for Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns football.
Catch all the action of Ragin' Cajuns football this season, only on the community voice of the Crescent City, WGSO 990 AM.
Hi, this is Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Tune in on Saturday mornings at 8 right here on WGSO, the community voice of the Crescent City.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back. Although I wanted to hear that song. Welcome back to the Jack Clegg Show. This is the second segment. You listen to WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. And the call-in number is 504-556-9696. That's 504-556-9696. And tonight we're talking about education, and we're going to utilize what's happening in Oregon to make the point that when politicians and bureaucrats make decisions in education, they need to consult with parents. They need to find out what parents want, not what they want. And Oregon is a great example of that. Okay, and we'll get right into what Oregon did, and we'll talk about that for the rest of the show. Okay, Oregon has a Board of Education, and their members set the policies for education through the state. Okay, and that's kind of like what they're trying to do with many of the federal agencies in America. By bypassing Congress, federal agencies in America have made all kinds of horrible, rotten, bad decisions. The Department of Labor made the decision to take $7 trillion of investment money in IRAs. And rather than having the managers of those funds only serve one interest, and that is the best interest of the employee, and having the employees every year or 6 months say, I want a conservative investment, I want a more moderate investment, I want a more aggressive investment. Rather than that, the Department of Labor on their own, with input from no public sector, decides, well, no, the managers can consider ESG. ESG is environmental changes, social changes, governing changes. And we've talked about it prior. Again, not without the public. What else? Well, we had a bunch of students who were in college who decided to take maximum loan amounts out for tuition. Okay, they signed on the dotted line. And what happened? Well, they couldn't get jobs, primarily because many of them dropped out of school. Those who didn't took classes that were not going to translate into jobs. Like, jobs where you wake up early in the morning, you have breakfast, you go to work, you work hard all day, and you come home in the evening and have dinner. Those things, jobs. Well, what happened? Well, the Department of Education. Now, we can forgive some of those loans. We can forgive them. Really. For the failure of the universities, rather than going after the universities and trying to get your money back this way, and I think that's what should have been done. Certain students qualified for their loans to be forgiven. And what happened? The Supreme Court knocked that out right away. So we have non-elected groups who don't get any public comment making decisions. One other historical note. You'll remember what happened in Virginia. This was in the Virginia race in 2022 when there was a fellow, McAuliffe, who was a very, very well-placed Democratic candidate. Never thought he'd win, Terry McAuliffe. He was knocked out by a first-timer on one issue, and that was parental rights over education. And you remember seeing on the news all these parents going to school board meetings, and the boards were not listening to the parents. In fact, some of them were arrested. And that candidate won, is currently the Virginia governor on that single issue. So it's a significant point. Let's return to Oregon. Okay, what did Oregon do? Well, after COVID, Oregon, like most states, Oregon had basic skills testing for different grades. Well, after COVID, they decided we're not going to have those anymore. Now, here was the rationale. Okay, here was the reason that was given. Well, the kids are behind, and certain children, certain students from backgrounds that are not strong in education, and they tried to say it was children of color and others, which I don't know if that's necessarily true, but they use this as an excuse that we don't want to hold them back. We don't want to hold them back. So we're not going to give these tests, which were used to determine proficiency. And if you're proficient, then you should move along. And they decided, no, we're going to get rid of those tests. Now, those of you who are regular listeners to the show know we've delved into that issue, and particularly with the state of Mississippi, which has done a great job with its education by requiring proficiency exams in the third grade, notifying the parents, and if they didn't pass the test in third grade, they had to redo third grade. And guess what happened? The kids studied for the tests. They did well. And now, instead of Mississippi being 49th or 50th nationwide, they're in the 20s. I think they're 27. Just by forcing kids to learn and take tests, which is the job of these educators. We have a caller that's going to join us, Matthew from Metairie. Matthew, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. So I was listening to, I think, your show on Thursday, and then John Swisher's show on Friday, and they had a Liberty or Lockdown. Had Dr. John Merrifield on talking about his ideas about the similar to what people claim the European system is that the money follows the student, as opposed to the money going into a centralized system.
Sure.
That idea has very many merits, and I would love to see it fleshed out more and debated more. But it was implemented in Arkansas under the excellent leadership of Governor Huckabee, Sarah Huckabee, not the original, and immediately a state senator jumped up and objected. And we objected it to going to parochial schools, not on the basis that they were Catholic, but on the basis that they were religious.
Right.
Now, wait, listen to his reasoning, though, because this makes sense. And you will hear this objection if this ever starts to get fleshed out further on down the road, because there will be hysterical people who will claim, oh, my God, they're going to use the money for madrasas.
No.
Oh, well. And you will also hear hysterical people claim they're going to use it for godless secular schools.
Sure. Yeah.
And so you will hear hysterical people shouting.
Right. Well, and we always have. Matthew, there are, and I'm not going to diminish their passion and what they believe. And
I will.
Well, and that's fine. But to me, I listen, okay, and try to listen to the points that are made. But at the end of the day, a rational approach is what is best for the single goal of those schools, educating students. And all the other is noise. And once they get away from that, they fail. We're going to take a break. You want to hold on during the break?
Absolutely. We've got to open this up.
Okay. And this, again, is the second segment of the Jack Clegg Show, and we're going to go into the third after the break. WGSO.com and WGSO 990 AM, and on the internet, on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in a few moments.
Hey, it's Kevin Carr with your personal sneak preview invitation to join me on Sunday evening from 8 to 9 for Fat Guys at the Movies. Each week, I give you my take on the newest movies and movie news, but in a fun way. Not like those stuffy movie review snobs who take themselves way too seriously. I tell you if the new movies rock or not. Yes, it's fun for all ages with Fat Guys at the Movies. I'll see you Sunday evening at 8 on WGSO 990 AM.
Donate your vehicle and make a difference. WGSO 990 AM has partnered with Charitable Adult Rides and Services, also known as CARS, to allow you the opportunity to donate your car, truck, motorcycle, RV, or boat to our nonprofit organization. You may qualify for a tax deduction while supporting a cause that is near and dear to your heart. Simply go to WGSO.com and follow the link on our homepage. Vehicle donation pickup is always free to you, and most vehicles can be picked up within 24 to 72 hours. You'll receive an initial car donation receipt upon pickup, and then the CARS team will work to turn your car into cash to support our cause. Once your vehicle is sold, the CARS team will provide you proper tax forms in time to file. Their friendly donor support representatives are available 7 days a week to assist throughout the process. Again, for more information, go to WGSO.com.
Now, everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
If you relate to these clips playing in the background, you will relate to Everything Old is New Again right here on WGSO. Hi, this is Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Join us for the fun on Saturday mornings at 8 right here on the community voice of the Crescent City, WGSO.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Colleen Crane. With I-55 closed after the tragic 158-vehicle pileup Monday morning, it's going to be more difficult for people traveling from Tangipahoa or eastern Livingston parishes to get to and from areas south of Lake Pontchartrain. How long the interstate will remain closed is unknown, but DOTD spokesperson Rodney Mallett says a thorough investigation must be done.
They are not being pushed for speed. They want to get their bridge inspection done properly.
And the types of things they'll be looking for.
We'll be looking for any kind of shifts in the deck, cracks, falling. We'll look at the guardrails, understand that there's some sign truss that may be damaged, and make a determination of if the road is safe enough to reopen.
And while those inspections and investigations continue, alternate routes between Hammond, Ponchatoula, and New Orleans, I-55 to LaPlace, and then enter I-10, or you can travel to Mandeville and take the causeway. For other possible routes, check the DOTD website at 511la.org. LRN.
Medicaid members, keep your address and phone number up to date to make sure you receive important information about your health insurance and you don't risk losing your coverage. If you get a letter from Louisiana Medicaid, follow the directions and respond to it as soon as possible. For questions or to update your info, call the number on your insurance card or visit healthy.la.gov. That's healthy.la.gov. Remember, keep your contact information up to date and respond to Medicaid letters so you don't lose your health care coverage.
Hey, Louisiana, how are you stopping litter?
In Terrebonne Parish, we put our trash in a bag and never out the car window.
In Bienville, you bag it, tie it, and put a lid on it.
We keep litter out of our lakes in Lafayette.
And in Calcasieu Parish, we keep our roads clean by clearing out our truck beds and securing our loads.
We need every person in every parish to stop littering and keep Louisiana beautiful. For more litter prevention tips, visit letlouisianashine.org.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Lieutenant Governor's Office and Keep Louisiana Beautiful.
A business without signage is like a car with a flat tire. It's not going anywhere fast. Sir Speedy can change that. We're a trusted resource for sign design and production. Whether you need trade show displays, banners, posters, directional signs, window decals, wall graphics, or more, Sir Speedy's sign capabilities can help your business get noticed. Call us today at 504-586-9812. Sir Speedy, we do it.
What does Grace mean to you? At Grace at the Green Light, a 501c3 nonprofit, we believe that everyone deserves a hot meal, clean drinking water, and a chance to go home again. Our work is made possible through the generous support of Faubourg Private Wealth, which provides holistic financial planning tailored for your family. Find out more at fpwa.com.
Ralph's Market cordially invites you to its Fall Wine Gala, Friday, November 3rd at La Berge, Baton Rouge. Dress in your Great Gatsby best and sample over 80 wines and hors d'oeuvres. It's the Ralph's Market Fall Wine Gala, November 3rd. Get tickets now at ralphsag.com.
It's the Flaming Conservative. Join me now on Friday nights at 7 p.m. for Holy and Patriotic Jambalaya on WGSO.
Hey, it's Christian. When it comes to buying appliances, buy where the builders buy, and that's at DTS Appliance Direct. Shop local. Don't go to the big box store when you need a new appliance. Call my friends at DTS Appliance Direct, 504-766-0738. DTS Appliance Direct has brands from GE, Cafe, Monogram, Blaze Grill, Z-Line, and many more. DTS Appliance Direct, 504-766-0738. 504-766-0738.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the third segment of tonight's show, the Jack Clegg Show, WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com, and our call-in number is 504-556-9696. And we had a caller online who was gracious and agreed to hold on until the third segment. Matthew, how are you?
I am doing well.
Okay.
And Dr. Merrifield, I think what he says has a lot of merit, and his ideas are basically sound.
Sure.
You'll have to work out some details, such as, teachers' retirement pensions, how are those going to be funded, and things of that nature. But it can still be worked out, and I think it can be worked out favorably to everybody except people who want stupid people. They will have to just deal with the fact that we want to educate people, not keep them stupid.
Well, that is
But
actually
he has to do something. He has to do something that apparently you don't know, and Martha Huckabee doesn't know, and John Swisher doesn't know. You have to put this in the hands of a legislator. Just trying to parachute it into the governor is just not going to work because that's not how things are done.
right. I'm actually at a I'm a few steps behind you. Okay. And I talked with Merrifield for a while. He was on my show Thursday night too. And
Yes, it was a very great conversation.
Yeah, it was good, and he's a great guy, and this is his life. He has studied this and so forth. His view completely revamps education. It changes everything, and it's massive. And just my practical nature and what I've viewed, most people would not accept that kind of a change. You'd have this. Okay, in this school district in North Carolina, and this one in Wyoming, and this one in Minnesota, we're going to try something like this. And you'd watch it for a few years, and then we'll go. Because we would never reach a national consensus on something as different. It's just a big change. That never happens. What I'm focused on is probably more mundane, but I think is more important. And that is, while we have students in public schools, okay,
Yes, we do.
We don't. Do we care about how kids are educated in private schools and parochial schools? No, we don't. We don't care about that.
Nope.
Their parents are paying their
we're not
money.
too concerned about it.
That's right. And if the school isn't doing well, what happens? The parents don't go back to that school. The parents talk among themselves, and it's over. Okay, so put that aside. We don't. They're doing fine as far as we know. Okay, I've not read nor the research has suggested that the kids who go to private schools have a tough time succeeding. It's all focused on the public schools, as it should be, because their numbers are tough. And in the future, with millions of illegal aliens becoming, I don't know what's going to happen, but they're going to be here, and we've got to educate their children. I think we have a duty to. And so we're going to have to deal with these real problems. So the question is, and I think it's real simple. At what point do we use expediency? And that is, well, this kid's already 7 years old. He can't be in first grade any longer. We must graduate him, irrespective of what he knows or she knows. And then you take that to its conclusion. Currently, we have the ability to test people's basic skills. And if
Yes, we do.
And why then are we allowing people to graduate who cannot pass those tests? That's really the simplest question. And this is what Oregon did. Oregon said we are suspending those tests until 2027, 2028. For the next 5 years, the state of Oregon is not giving those tests. And
well, I'm going to give you a little inside baseball information because my wife worked at a public school, one of the better ones in Jefferson Parish Elementary School, had very high LEAP score tests. But here's the secret. If a child is in special ed and their parents receive the crazy check, the kids don't test for regular LEAP tests.
Oh, because they're in special ed, right?
Right.
Okay.
Because
that's
of the
a separate
system
category
of
altogether.
supports.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the system of supports, they actually encourage more kids to be crazy.
Possibly. I can't say. I can't comment on
What's
that
your
because I'm
reward?
not an expert on
Well,
that.
Well, this is only
we've given that
anecdotal for my wife.
Right,
But what is a reward for them not being crazy?
Well, you'd think that graduation and advancement from third grade to fourth grade.
There's
fourth
no
grade to
reward
fifth
in
grade.
that, so they get a piece of paper. So.
No, there is. Among the children, there is. I mean, you remember when you were in third
Yeah,
and
I
fourth
was
grade?
happy to get my graduation from high school because it meant that I didn't have to go to school anymore.
Well,
I decided to go to college.
Answer this truthfully. When you were in third and fourth grade,
I will
when
answer
was
as
in-
truthfully as I can.
When I was in
I
third
will
and
confess
fourth-
to no crime.
When I was in third or fourth grade and fifth grade, way back when, before they even had basic skills tests. Okay, that's that long ago.
Mhm.
When you took a test, you didn't want to flunk. You didn't want to fail. It was, and you knew there were kids that were held back. They were flunked. You didn't want to be one
I
of those.
will tell you.
Didn't you? Did you?
I will tell
is that
you.
not true?
I will tell you why I did not want to fail, even though I may not have tried all that hard to pass, because the subject matter was boring.
Okay. Well,
and that was because if I failed, I would get punished by my parents.
Okay, that's fine.
Because my parents had this bizarre notion that education was supposed to be good for me. It turned out they were correct. But
well, right.
when I was
okay, but
when I was a teenager, well, pretty much up until in my early 20s, I wasn't all that concerned about education.
And a lot of students aren't. A lot of students are not. A lot of students are. They aren't ready for it because everybody's brain matures at a different rate, and that I feel great sympathy for those who run public schools because they're dealing with kids, boys and girls, white, black, brown, whatever, who are all maturing at different ages, and they've got to. And it's a tough job. It's a tough job to do that. However, and this is what I
tougher
want to
by
get to.
parents who don't care about education.
Well, put that aside for a moment. Put that aside.
Okay, let's put that aside.
That is a challenge that needs to be overcome. It really is. But the first job is to educate the children by hook or by crook to do that within the law. Okay, so that to me says that these basic skills tests need to be given. Now, some states, like Oregon, did have this, which I liked. Oregon had a test for 11th graders, okay? And it was basic skills in education, reading, math, and writing. Basic skills, okay? And if you didn't pass that in the 11th grade, when you were a senior, you had to take additional classes. You had to take your regular classes, but you had to take these additional, which some might call remedial classes. And then you had a test at the end of 12th grade to see if you graduate. Well, there's no perfect idea. There's no perfect battle plan. You get a good one and you make it work, okay? And that was Eisenhower's quote on D-Day. There's no perfect plan. Let's quit futzing around with everything. There's just a good plan executed well. All right. So that's a good plan. But somehow these educators in Oregon were convinced that if we held anybody back, it would hurt their self-esteem. If we made them take these additional courses, it would help them it would hurt their self-esteem. Now, what I find very, very convenient is this was also at the same time of COVID. Okay?
Yes.
Which meant that they had to work harder, and they didn't want to do that. So what did they do? What got jettisoned? What got jettisoned were the skills tests. They didn't give them. And they relied upon their self-esteem loss. Well, because they didn't want to face the reality of it. So all those kids got graduated. Okay, we got to take a break. Matthew, hold on. We got to take a break. This is the John Clegg Show. WGSO.com and WGSO 990 AM. We'll be back in a few moments.
When the time came, I knew I had to find a place where Mom would be safe and active while still feeling independent. A place that was close to all of us and everything she needed. Locally owned and operated in the heart of Gonzales, I found Francois Ben's Senior Living. They specialize in independent and assisted living and memory care.
Call 225-647-BEND for more information on our special pre-leasing offers.
Francois Ben's Senior Living. Experience life as it should be.
Join me, BJ Rust, every Saturday night for the Something to Say radio show on WGSO 990 AM and streaming live on WGSO.com.
Hi, I'm William Wallace. You can hear me live on Tuesday nights at 5 o'clock here on WGSO, or see what I have to say on Facebook at William Wallace for America.
Don't miss Herd's Louisiana Live from 4 to 5 Monday through Friday. While Herd exposes and explains state government's daily shenanigans, exposes our excess taxes, and explains how we can get to real community safety. Herd will challenge your legislators to repeal taxes and grow Louisiana. Repeal and grow is the name of the game. Herd's Louisiana Live is coming in hot every day at 4 p.m. Only on WGSO 990 AM.
Join me, Mitch Gibbs, live on WGSO Radio 990 AM every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. in our 8th season of Breakfast with the Bayou Bengals, talking LSU football, live on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi at the Silver Slipper Casino, where we'll be talking LSU football all season long.
Hey, it's Christian. When it comes to buying appliances, buy where the builders buy, and that's at DTS Appliance Direct. Shop local. Don't go to the big box store when you need a new appliance. Call my friends at DTS Appliance Direct, 504-766-0738. DTS Appliance Direct has brands from GE, Cafe, Monogram, Blaze Grill, Z-Line, and many more. DTS Appliance Direct, 504-766-0738. 504-766-0738.
Ralph's Market cordially invites you to its Fall Wine Gala, Friday, November 3rd at L'Auberge Baton Rouge. Dress in your great Gatsby best and sample over 80 wines and hors d'oeuvres. It's the Ralph's Market Fall Wine Gala, November 3rd. Get tickets now at ralphsag.com.
It's the Flaming Conservative. Join me now on Friday nights at 7 p.m. for Holy and Patriotic Jambalaya on WGSO.
Hi, this is Kevin Carr, host of Fat Guys at the Movies. Listen every Sunday at 8 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
All right, New Orleans. This is the fourth and final segment of the Jack Clegg Show tonight. And this is the Tuesday night edition, of course. And we have two callers online, Matthew, and we have the Cajun whistleblower. Now, both you guys, I got to get to something I really wanted to finish, but Matthew, take a minute and summarize right now. Go ahead.
So the reason in Oregon that they're doing this is because the narrative is that the COVID shutdowns and remote learning did not harm the children.
No.
And they would love dearly to go back to something like that for whatever excuse they could come up with. And still, maintain the same bureaucratic structure required to maintain buildings and all this other stuff.
Sure.
And that's why they're desperate to prove that the kids can all still graduate on time. It has nothing to do with their self-esteem. They could care less.
Well, okay. Thank you very much.
May care.
It fits my title of the program, expediency. That's what it is. I agree. Now, Cajun whistleblower, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. God bless you, Matthew.
Okay.
Good evening, brother and sister, pro-life, whistleblowing parents, patriots, pet owners, police, military, cowboys, and cowgirls.
Focus on education, please.
Right now, at this very moment, our enemies are screaming, pro-death to America, pro-death to Israel. America is beautiful, and Israel is precious. Recently, in just one day, America was invaded by over 10,000 illegal aliens, many of them smuggled in fentanyl, a deadly drug that murders over 100,000 Americans every year. Think about that. Recently, in just a few days, tens of thousands of people in Israel, including American citizens, babies, were attacked, injured, murdered, aborted, vaccinated, assassinated, and even beheaded all over our planet Earth. Wake up, pray up, stand up, stock up, Defend up, rise up, and wise up, America. Amen. How did I do?
You did okay. Thank you very much.
God bless.
There you go. Be good. All right. The point I was trying to make tonight, and it may have gotten away from me a bit, and we had some excellent comments by Matthew, and we always like to hear those. But the one thing that I really was trying to get across is this issue. Giving our students basic skills tests in order for them to matriculate, for them to go from 3rd grade to 4th grade, from 8th grade to high school, from 11th grade to getting a diploma from high school. How important is that? I think it is the most important thing. If they cannot pass that test, why are we letting them out? Now, we know that the world is tough, and there are all kinds of issues why students may have to drop out. They may lose a parent. Their parents may lose their job. They may have homelessness. There's all kinds of things. And all of those deserve proper attention. What I'm really getting at is the great number of students who deserve a good education. And stop looking at the exceptional issues, the exceptions to the issue, and focus on providing a product that is valuable. Education is a product. It takes hard work. It takes preparation by teachers. If they can't do it, then fine, get somebody else. But the one thing that matters is that students learn. And how do you know? You have to give them a test to learn. Oregon is floating in the ether saying, well, we don't want to do that. We think this is more harmful. How is it more harmful to find out where you're declining? What if the tests show, well, in math, you're doing real well, but in reading, you're not? You're going to affect your curriculum in the future to hit the downfalls in reading and writing that you're falling down in. It's a very, in my opinion, it is being over exceptionalized, meaning not exceptional, but exceptions are being made for every possibility. Oh, well, they were in COVID, so we're going to give up on them. We're going to give them their... Has anyone ever said, well, wait a minute, we ought to make that K through 12, K through 13 because of COVID? Who's going to argue against that? It makes sense. Everyone has looked at the figures. They've looked at the statistics. They've seen, the COVID really hurt us, and particularly hurt students. So why hasn't someone suggested, well, we give them another year? Why? What's the reason why? I think if you think about that, you'll think it wasn't in the best interest of the students that decision was never even raised. No one even suggested it. It's just, well, this is the way we do things. This is the way we do things around here. Wait a minute. You easily made a change from COVID. You easily made a change during COVID. Students didn't have to go to school. Oh, that's okay. We don't have to teach that. My view of this is very simple, and we may hit this on Thursday, at the beginning of the show, and that is, are we going to surrender because of expediency? And when I say surrender, I mean, are we going to fail in our obligation to teach? And it is an obligation. A long time ago, we used to talk about teachers who were underpaid, and teachers took a pay cut to be a teacher. They could have done anything else, but they were teachers. And there was a reason for that. And I believe it. I believe some people are born to be teachers. Some people are very good at it. And no matter what you pay them, they're going to be good teachers. Yet, there are many, many, many who are out there who just walk through. How can you be a teacher and say, we don't want to have skills tests, basic skills tests for our students? What's the next thing? We're not going to test them during the year to see if they're learning? What do you do about that? During the year, from September to November, we're not going to give them any tests. We're just going to assume they were learning. They're kids. Every possible way that they can be distracted, they will be distracted. That's what makes a good teacher a good teacher. They will outperform the distractions. Not every teacher can do it. And when the Oregon or whatever the state it is decides we're not going to give a basic skills test, that's giving up. That's giving up. Anyway, how long we have for the rest of the show? We got about 30 seconds? Okay. Thank you for listening in tonight. And if you disagree with me and this approach, please, next Thursday night, we'll start off with the first segment, call in. Maybe there'll be a lot of callers. Maybe there'll be teachers that'll call, and I can be corrected. But until then, have a good night, have a good evening. We have a little bit more time. Okay. All right. One final thing I want to talk about. Okay. I read this great article today. It has nothing to do with education. It has to do with politics. And there was a lawyer, Sidney Powell, she's a woman, was in the Trump team doing what she could to represent Trump, and not only him, but many other people who believed the 2020 election was unfair. And they fought in state after state after state, and there wasn't a single court that held a trial to decide whether or not in their state things were fair or unfair. Mostly judges made decisions. She just pled guilty this week to 6 misdemeanors in Georgia. Okay, and she entered a plea deal saying that she's not going to serve jail time. I think she pays $6,000 in restitution and so forth. But here's the question. After she did that, she's now come out and is making statements very unfavorable to the government after she's already pled guilty, which I think is kind of cool. And her issue is, I can do that. I didn't give away my First Amendment rights when I pled guilty. Read about that story. We're going to talk about that next Thursday as well. All right, 10 seconds left. This is the Jack Clegg Show. Thanks for joining us this evening. And we'll be on Thursday night at 7 o'clock on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. Listen to me Thursday.
Hi, I'm Huck, an active Christian who loves Louisiana. One of my goals is to bring Louisiana's education from 50th to number 1.